Warning: contains adult content including harsh language, violence, and sexual themes, and may not be suitable for people under age 17.
The three of them had managed to find a very small, very cheap house. The reason it had been cheap was because a family had died in there, and nobody else wanted it. Kodo laughed at this, reassuring the girls that he'd probably feel more in his element. It was a joke, of course, one that Hima didn't take to very well. As Hima started beauty school and got a job as a receptionist at a nearby salon, Mina had to stay home with Kodo constantly. He had to stay in the house until it was safe to go out in public again, but she was afraid that, if she left, he'd get the urge to kill again. She soon found out that it was rather easy to keep him sane. He never had panic attacks or seizures when Mina was near him. The problem was, he was still hearing that voice in his head. After they had changed his hair, Mina suggested it was safe to perhaps see a psychiatrist about the voice Kodo was hearing. Kodo kept his first name the same, but went by the last name he had told Mina when she first met him, Sahashi. They doubted anyone would make the connection because Kodo was a pretty common name. They gave him fake glasses that resembled Hima's to hide more of his face, just in case someone managed to recognize him. "You look pretty different to me," said Hima. "And you're still as sexy as ever," said Mina with a giggle. She took him to the doctor, and only told him that Kodo was hearing a voice. "It's just one voice," said Kodo to the doctor. "It sounds like mine, but it's not saying things I would normally say. It tells me to do things that I don't want to do." Eventually, Kodo was prescribed some antipsychotics to help him with the voices and any seizures he might have if Mina happened to not be around for some reason. It took a short time before they started to work. He was happy when he finally told Mina, "The voice is gone." Both Mina and Hima were so happy about Kodo's recovery, they celebrated in their new home, laughing and joking like a normal family. Kodo and Hima had formed a bond that Kodo had always wished he had formed with Yumi. They joked and argued just like brother and sister. After a while, Hima actually started referring to him as her brother. After a long while, Kodo was able to walk the streets without Mina or Hima accompanying him. He looked at people, and, as disgusted as he was by them, he never had the urge to kill a single one of them. On the off chance he did get this urge, he fed it by going to an arcade and playing some video games, killing fictional people on the screen instead. Kodo's mentality was restored to as close to normal as he could get. Hima had shrugged and said, "Well, none of us are entirely sane anyway." It was true. Both of the girls had strange behaviors, nothing that would mark them as criminals, but enough for Kodo to say, "You guys are crazy." After another year, Mina suddenly got very sick, vomiting almost every day. Hima and Kodo tried to take care of her, but she didn't seem to be getting better. Hima had a suspicion. She had gone out to the store and returned rather quickly, kicking Kodo out of the bathroom and closing the door with her and Mina inside. After a long while, the two girls came out. "What the hell was that all about?" Kodo asked angrily. Hima smiled, holding Mina over her shoulder. "Wanna tell him, sweetie?" she asked her, and Mina laughed weakly, looking pale. "Kodo," she said hoarsely, "I'm pregnant." Kodo felt light-headed, gripping a chair for support. Pregnant?" he exclaimed. "What? Oh my god." He had to sit down now. "What, don't you think he'll be a good father?" asked Hima forcefully. "Kodo," said Mina, managing to stand on her own, walking slowly over to him. You won't be like your father." He blinked, staring at her. How did she know that that was what he was thinking? "You don't know how I'll be," said Kodo, bowing his head. "What if I do turn into my father?" "Stop it," said Mina strongly. "Your father was an asshole, and because of that, you will never be like him." Kodo looked back at her and finally smiled. "You're right," he said, and he pressed his palm to her belly. "I will make sure that our baby's life is nothing like mine, and it will be happy with a loving mother, an adoring father, and..." He stopped, looking over at Hema. A sort of hot-tempered godmother. Hema fumed, hitting him in the back of the head. "Why, you little bast—" She froze. "Godmother?" Koto rubbed the back of his head, still smiling. "What else do you think you'd be?" he said, as if she was stupid to have thought otherwise. Hema stayed silent, but he could tell she felt very happy to be dubbed godmother. "What will we name it?" asked Mina excitedly. Koto laughed. "We don't even know if it's a boy or a girl, Mina," he reminded her. He paused, taking her hand and staring into her beautiful brown eyes. "But I swear, if it's a girl," Mina and Hema were both staring at him, "we'll name her Saya." This has been a presentation of I Fell in Love with a Murderer, written by Kara Reynolds. I hope you enjoyed my rather unorthodox way of writing, and hope that it didn't disturb you too much. Think about this after you're done listening to this story. What would you do if the person you loved more than anything, whom you've known for a very long time, turned out to be a deranged murderer? Would you still love them?